Hello and welcome back to the channel Up the Reds TV with me, Andy. Please like, please share, and please subscribe to this channel. Okay, this one is the post-match from last night. Liverpool 0, Leeds 0. And as you can probably tell from my voice, I'm a bit hoarse. And that's because I did a lot of shouting last night. So, excuse me. So, first things first, after the final whistle, I just could not wait to get out of Anfield last night, if I'm honest with you, because that was a real non-show by the Reds. My full-time tweet, I said after the game, that was a toothless second-half performance. But in whole, it was a toothless for 96 plus minutes, wasn't it? So there was no energy from the players. The passing was slow. The balls that were 20 yards forward were sent back 15 yards back when we were in interesting and promising positions. That there was no creativity from any of our front six players. We had players, static players on that pitch, and that is not good and it's not pleasing on the eye to watch. And yeah, it looked like that there was a Sunday Vets team out playing there. It really was poor. 25 minutes first half before we had our first shot. We had a few corners, all wasted. Van Dijk header over the bar in the first, but his second miss in the second half. I mean, he heads it wide unmarked from eight yards. It doesn't even hit the target. That's how bad the game was. So yeah, I cannot see a style of play to get the supporters off our seats. And the Leeds fans were taking the piss, where it's your famous Anfield atmosphere. And you know what? They were 100% spot on with that. I'll give you two reasons why, shall I? The first one's really obvious. The players need to get the supporters off their seats and deliver on the pitch to make it exciting. We've had it really good, haven't we, with Jurgen Klopp bringing his brand of football, and we were excited. We were singing the songs. He would get us going from the touchline, wouldn't he? If he thought that Anfield was a bit quiet. So yeah, it's not happening from the players. The game yesterday from the players was too predictable. You know, with the passing, they constantly made the pitch smaller, did the Liverpool players, because how they were playing virtually next to each other, rather than making our pitch is small anyway, but you have to make it big. And by making it big, you have to pass the ball quicker. You have to have players that are on the move all the time and not static, waiting for the ball and things to happen. So the players, I mean, it's a tactical flaw, really, if you ask me. And that's made by the coach, the way he sets up the team and the way the team plays. The second most important thing about the atmosphere last night, and believe me, it could have been miles better, is this stupid operation that Liverpool Football Club have got, sort of like doing body searches to the fans 10 minutes into the game, asking the fans to turn up 10, 15, 20 minutes before the game starts, so they're not having to queue to get up. We've never ever had this for years and years at Anfield. All of a sudden, it's become a thing. Why? No explanation as to why there are these body searches done. Well, they're not even searches. You get scanned, and if it beeps, oh yeah, it's a couple of pound coins in that pocket. Oh yeah, it's me tobacco tin. I actually saw old men in the queue that I was refusing to be scanned and said, "You are not scanning me. You know, I'm going into the game without being scanned. You don't need to scan me." And the stewards were letting him in. So this is my point about getting for the atmosphere. If you get into the ground and you're not having to wait 10 minutes before you get into the ground because of this stupid thing that they've got at the club that needs stopping, in my eyes, you're sort of like in the mood to be getting into the ground. You've come out of one of the pubs, had a few bevs, and you're excited, and then you're having to wait 10 minutes. It's just pathetic. So your atmosphere, your personal atmosphere is a bit drained. You're just thinking, oh, when am I going to get in? And then you're rushing. You rush to the loo. You try and get a quick pint in before the game starts. There's massive queues there. I'm not talking from experience. It's just what I witnessed last night. I got in there just as the players had finished training. So, but there was no atmosphere at all. It was quiet. It was the song "You'll Never Walk Alone" was sang loud and proud, and then you heard the Leeds fans clearly for 90 minutes, and every credit to them. They were they were really getting behind their team, but we weren't getting behind our team. We were getting frustrated. We just couldn't muster any style of play. The substitutions were bizarre again for me. I understand Wirtz was going off because he didn't train fully this week. He only trained on Wednesday because he thought his hammy was playing up. But taking Bradley off, Frimpong off, Jones off, the players are the ones that could unlock the low block. But no, Slot decides to take them off and bring on Gakpo, who we know what he's going to do. He's never going to cross it. He's going to put it in, try and cut in and get a shot off. And he did that in the first 30 seconds. We bring on a 17-year-old winger. Look, people said he had a good 5-10 minutes. No, just because he's quick and whatever. If he had a good 5 or 10 minutes, there would have been an end result from what he did. He didn't. He was just going through the motions just like the rest of the team. And obviously, bringing a 17-year-old on is not the answer in a game like that. Look, we have real tactical issues, right? And they are coming off the training pitch and being brought into games. That's the way I see it. Leeds' first clean sheet. We had 8 set-piece chances. And one of them was that glaring Van Dijk missing the second half. I mentioned Aaron Briggs in my last video. I'm going to mention him again here. I said in the last video, the proof will be in the pudding when he goes to see if we have improved things in this area, because Arne Slot seems to bring it up in every press conference. And he mentioned it again in the press conference after the game and said that we were unlucky with our set-piece chances. And strange statement to make. His team, and this is his team, play a no risk, no reward game. And by that, I mean they are not quick enough, not pacey enough to get on the front foot. It's oh so easy, but it's boring as hell. Honestly, it is boring as hell. I was in the lower Kenny and people were grunting, and you can't really blame them. And they were having a right good moan. And look, we had Chris Kavanagh as the referee. He's dog shite. Has been for years. Always been dog shite for against when he comes to Anfield. He doesn't understand the rules of the game, and yet he's a professional qualified referee. But I'm not giving him as an excuse for that performance yesterday. That was down to us, and every credit to Leeds. They set up absolutely perfectly. They made sure that on our small pitch, the pitch was even smaller by playing 5 at the back, and that's how they set up. They got their just reward. They've taken a point away from Anfield, their first clean sheet of the season as well. One shot on target in the second half by Dom Slobberslite, parried away by the keeper. Why don't we have more shots like that? Because it sets alarm bells ringing. And but that was it, really, in the half. And look, give me 2 full training sessions with this team, and I would increase the tempo, the movement made by the players off the ball. I would make the pitch bigger, keep the opposition guessing for 90 minutes. And that's done by the players constantly moving and not giving the ball away cheaply. You know, as I said, they set up with a 5 at the back and a low block, and they were playing for set pieces against us. And it's easy. It really is easy. The pitch at the Axe is the same size as the pitch at Anfield. That's what they train on. So Jurgen Klopp never had this problem, did he? And I'm not saying that bring Jurgen Klopp back is going to be the answer with these set of players. I'm not, because we've moved on from Jurgen Klopp. We won the Premier League last season. We're still the champions until we are told otherwise, which in my eyes won't be very long. Arne Slot's post-match comments. He was asked what we were missing. He said a goal. He said, and a few ways to unlock it would be by set pieces. I'm mentioning set pieces because he's mentioning set pieces. I wish he'd shut up about set pieces. He also then said, and also by what Jeremy Frimpong did against Wolves, he said, I said to him at half-time, we need to get more bodies into the box. We are a team with the top ball possession, but that does not create chances. What creates chances is pass and overload. So he can see this, but as a coach, he does nothing about it. He's not implemented it at the training ground. He can't do, because if that's how teams are setting up against us, and what annoyed me about his press conference, it's what he said in his post-match of for the Fulham game. He didn't say it in the post-match of this game. He said that he didn't expect Leeds to turn up and play 5 at the back. Mate, it's your job as a coach. It's your job as a coach not to have one formation during a game. You know, I've changed formations when I've ran teams when it's not going for us, or it is going for us, but I'm going to shut up shop and I do something about it. He doesn't do anything about it. he does not, and he's yeah. It was a really bizarre statement to make last night, and I'm not so sure that the players like this setup, this formation. He said in the second half, he said the keeper kicked it long from the goal kicks, and he said, and then we had to get past 11 players. No, that is not what I saw. I did not see from the goal kicks that there were 11 players behind the ball when we were winning the headers or anything. In fact, they countered twice from the goal kicks and nearly got through. Might have been 3 times, and we were scurrying back and doing last-ditch defending. So, no, again, you've seen a different game from me. Honestly, you have. He said the players kept trying, and he said he was asked about the Ekatike penalty. He says, no, not for me. He said he was frustrated by the referee. He says their players were smart. And he said, and this is what got me, he said, I won't encourage my players to do that. Why? Why wouldn't you? It's the chap that was sat next to me. I was saying to him, we don't do enough of the dark arts. You know, Ekatike should have gone down. And if I'm his coach, I'm telling him, lad, you go down. You give the referee a chance to call it. You give the liner a chance to call it. You go down. Don't stay on your feet. You know, you get as a penalty. We might not score from it, you know, but 9 times out of 10, we'll bury it. Could have been a sending off as last man, and the game could have been different. Ifs and buts and all, you know. So, yeah, for Arne Slot to say, no, I don't want my players doing that. Mate, give your head a wobble. Other teams come to Anfield and do exactly that. They do it at the home games as well. And you don't want our players to do it. Yeah, you know, so, yeah. Leeds, they might have had, a chance in the first half. Came from a poor alley kick out from the outside of his boot. I don't know who he was passing to, but as soon as he left his boot, all I heard was a oh. And, okay, yeah, he recovered and smothered the ball. But yeah, it wasn't good. I'll talk about the players before I talk about Arne Slot. Okay. Alisson, apart from that mistake in the first half, he did okay. Conor Bradley, few stray passes went awry in the first half, but he tried to do his best, and I thought he had a bit of a good thing going on with Jeremy Frimpong ahead of him. Robbo was all right for the first 15 minutes going up, and then everything started to come backwards. Every time we opened up their right-hand side, I think he crossed the ball once, which was a great cross, but we had nobody in the box. And it went over to Frimpong, and he beats his man, and he crosses, and I think it hits either the top of the head of Ekatike or the side of his face, and it goes awry. But yeah, Konate, I thought, had a good game defensively wise. Read the game, used his strength, won his headers, kept Calvert-Lewin quiet when he came on. Van Dijk made a couple of errors at the back. We got away with it, and yeah, Ryan Gravenberch, just trouble with Ryan is he'll pick up the ball, say, from Robbo in the centre circle, and instead of opening his body up and playing it to Bradley, who can then play it to Frimpong, he plays the ball where the ball's come from in the traffic. And he was doing a lot of that. In fact, he wasn't the only one. Slobberslide was doing it and Jones was doing it. Jones was the worst culprit because there was none of his, right, I'm going to do a half turn and off I go. It was a case of, at one point, I think it was Van Dijk that had played him the ball, and he must have had 3 players in about 8 or 9 yards from him, and he hit the ball straight to Konate. He should control half turn, he's got the pitch in front of him. So that was a bit shoddy to see. And what really got me in the first half, before I carry on with the players, was, have you seen that clip that's going out on Twitter? How 6 players were involved in getting the ball from the back from a goal kick. And we had no press. We had no press at all. It was a case of, right, we're going to sit here, we'll wait for you to come out. But do you know what? When they play the ball like that, it gives teams confidence. And that's what Leeds did. Dom Slobberslide wasn't his best game back after his suspension. There was no energy from him. He looked cold. He looked out of all sorts. His passing was a bit awry. Jeremy Frimpong, he did okay, but we never exploited his pace enough because, like I said, every time the ball came from the left-hand side into midfield, they'd take it back to the left-hand side where all the traffic was and not opening up the body for Bradley or Frimpong to attack. I think they always looked thinking, right, I'll give it to Wirtz. Wirtz didn't have a good game. Now I understand why. He's carrying a knock, isn't he? It's probably in the back of his mind. And Hugo Ekitike kept on dropping deeper. He needs somebody to play up with him, next to him. Because when I was talking about the static players, he was one of the static players. He wasn't doing the old curve runs. He was just stood there, hoping that the ball would come to him, rather than him making the space to track the run, just to give their back 5 something to think about. Subs that came on, Chiesa, he didn't do really much, did he? If I'm honest with you, he ran into the box and he fell over looking for something. Ref wasn't going to, in front of the cop, the ref wasn't going to give anything. McAllister didn't do much either, just slow passive passing. Cody Gakpo, I think he passed to Kirkes once, might have been twice, and then Ungamoa comes on. Gakpo moves centrally with and nothing comes from it. Ungamoa is good. He's got good trickery with his feet, but there's no end product. And people have been screaming for him to start. And I have to be honest, I wanted him to be kept around the first team and not to be loaned out anywhere, because he'll get a better education. But however, I don't want him to obviously be used. He should be coming in at games when it's about 3-0 or something like that, and give him a good run out. I thought Kirkes did okay. You can see his energy, and he was doing fine. I thought he was doing fine. I thought he was unlucky not to start the game yesterday, but Robbo was there, and we got what we got from Robbo, And yeah, so hopefully Kirkes is back in for the next game, which is the Fulham one. Okay, here we go. Arne Slot. Let's not paper over the cracks in this unbeaten 8-game run. I can't remember 4 games in a row where I enjoyed watching the Reds play. I'm struggling to watch them play, knowing what the sort of like what they should be doing, how they should be playing. Yes, we've had it good with the previous gaffer, but this head coach cannot galvanise this group of players probably to play the way he wants them to play. If he said to them at half time, I want more players in the box, why wasn't there more players in the box in the second half? Did you really say that? Or was that just for the press? Right, I'm going to make my gut instinct. Arne Slot will not be our manager. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Arne Slot will not be our head coach at Anfield next season. I don't think the club will offer him a extended contract. People said to me today, but what if he wins the Champions League? And I said, we ain't going to win the Champions League. How do you know? And we're not going to win the Champions League. I've been watching Liverpool a long time, and I've been watching this team try to develop this season. It's clearly in transition, but this manager cannot get anything from these players if we are going for a title charge, a Champions League charge next season. Obviously, we'll have some other players coming in and some players leaving as well. So, yeah, I think, I mean, he might resign before the end of the season. He might be told, or has been told, that there is no renewal talks at this time until we see improvements in results, the style of play, the tactics. It's his job to deliver the style of play that gets the Anfield faithful up and belting out the great songs that we have. And I don't see that. I honestly don't see that. I also think that Edwards and Hughes are already planning for his departure. But let's not sort of like give them a free ride. I think they've are just to blame for this season in the getting the right caliber player in for the positions that we wanted. And centre back is one of them. We cocked up on that with the Gay thing. We were fanning about whether to get him or not because we were concentrating too much on the Isaac saga that was going on and not replacing Luis Diaz was massive for me, because you are not telling me, the lad was 16 at the time, that you were going to rely on a 16-year-old boy to help you through this possible 60-game season if we were firing on all fronts. So, yeah, Hughes and Edwards have got some answers to give onto why we didn't get anybody for the left-hand side and why we didn't get we did get a centre half in, but he was a young lad and unfortunately he's out for the rest of the season, Leone. And the only time I saw him play, I thought he was excellent, and I'm thinking, wow, he's a good watch to the eye, and unfortunately he got that injury with his knee. So yeah. I am not going to defend Arne Slot anymore. I think I've done enough defending for him, and I know I'm old school. We don't do these things at Liverpool. We make look after our managers and things. Well, we don't really, do we? We don't. We brought Brendan Rodgers in, and I didn't want Brendan Rodgers, and he was lucky that the players that he had at his disposal, and it didn't end well for him. Roy Hodgson, and still sends a shudder down my back. Are Liverpool in a relegation battle? Yes, we are. And so yeah, I think we're all bored with this style of football, and it's not going to change. Between now and May, it is not going to change. And these are professional footballers. They train between each games, and they watch videos. They are tactically told what to do by coaches. And if that is what they're told to do, what we are watching, no wonder I can hear the disgruntled from the terraces and on social. So mine here is a constructive criticism of the game yesterday. But when I look at the overall picture, I look at this 8-game unbeaten run and what we're doing, I see very little to tell me that something's going to change for the positive. I think between now and May, this is how it's going to be. And we are going to, January itself, we've got 8 games left now. And it's going to be one hell of a massive slog. He keeps mentioning the players. He's got a small base of players, and he has to keep an eye on them. That they don't pick up injuries or whatever. I'm not being funny. I would have been annoyed with how slowly they played yesterday, that a player would come off that pitch with an injury, because there was nothing given there for you to get an injury because of the pace of the game. So for me, Arne Slot's not going to be the solution taking this club forward. Like I say, he might resign before the end of the season if he's been told that your contract is not going to be renewed. He might be set a target, what he needs to do, and then they will negotiate his contract, i.e. get us into the top 4. He's probably been told to win the Champions League. He might even been told that to win the FA Cup. But when we play Barnsley, don't be surprised if there's a lot of under-21 players in that team, because he'll be trying to rest the players for the rest of the games for January, and that's when we come unstuck. Because when you do things like that, you have no pattern, no formation of play, no muscle memory. All that goes out the window when you're resting players. So yeah. So there's my thoughts. I've come out and said it, and you give me your thoughts. Am I right? Am I jumping on the bandwagon? Are you happy really to watch that kind of style of play? Because I know I'm not, and there's a lot of people at Anfield weren't, because when I went back to my car, and as I said to you previously, you listen to the chit-chat that's going on around you when you're walking, and you pick up the little tidbits, And you know, the most saying I heard was, "That was a shower of shit. That was a shower of shite. Why did I come and watch that? That's the worst game I've seen at Anfield," and you can't argue with that. It's probably not the worst, but for playing wise, it's certainly up there. Okay, that's enough from me. I'm going to do a pre-match, pre-warm-up for the Fulham game tomorrow. So that video will be coming out tomorrow. So you've got 2 videos coming out, one tonight, this one with the post-match Leeds, and you'll get the Fulham one tomorrow. Okay, when I've done my bit of research on that. Okay, enjoy your Friday evening, and I will speak to you guys tomorrow, and it's up the Reds from me.